This
Is Brian
conference will
Sable on
now
the
be
call?
recorded.
Good evening,
Yeah, Brian
everyone.
Sable's up.
I'm beginning the meeting right now, Building, Zoning, and Development at 7 p.m. Present are committee members Williamson, Limpert, and Schumann. Council members Broussard, Glassburn, Heeman, Kelly, our council president, Planning and Development Director, Mayor, Safety Service Director, the applicants, and guests. On the agenda this evening, we'll begin with CMS. Kim, are we good to start with Nissan first? Director?
Let me switch over our.
It's okay. We can do Duncan first. That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll begin with CMS 19-13405 Dunkin' Donuts with an address of 5581 Stearns Road. Director Lieber, will you take over from here, please?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. This proposal consists of a new drive-through restaurant and site improvements. The property is zoned B3 General Business, and it's commercial property abutting other commercial property to the east, which is the bottom part of your screen, and residentially zoned property to the north, which is the right side of your screen, and that is Forest School. The property has frontage both. It's the corner parcel with Rite Aid at Lorraine and Stearns. And so this is the overall site plan that you can see, and I'll zoom in a little bit on the Dunkin' site itself. The applicant's proposing to construct a new drive-through restaurant on the portion of lot that's the farthest north. The area between the existing and proposed building is being reserved for future development. So that's this area where my mouse is currently. The building is just under 2,400 square feet. It's going to be their new color palette, a gray tone utility brick split face block and hardy board siding with white trim and a gray shingle roof. There's going to be an aluminum and glass storefront there'll be orange awnings and also some pink and white metal trim accents on their tower element with their signage. HVAC will be roof mounted and screened with a white vinyl fence material. So because this is new development, it will be disrupting a large number of existing mature trees on the site, but the applicant has proposed or provided a tree survey that indicates which trees will be remaining, which trees will be removed. They've done a good job incorporating existing trees into the landscape plan where possible. They have incorporated landscape buffers for the new development area adjacent to the commercial property to the east and also the residentially zoned property to the north. They've included streetscape plantings, and let me try and navigate out to the landscape plan. So this is the landscape plan where you can see the amount of mature trees along the frontage still being preserved, along with additional plantings along the streetscape and the buffer plantings along the residential perimeter and then also along the commercial perimeter. They're proposing landscape irrigation as required. They also are going to be including new dumpster enclosures. So they have a service area here that will serve Dunkin' Donuts in the future development, and they're relocating the existing dumpster, which is behind Rite Aid, over to the side property line to keep all their service activities on that side of the property. So one of the bigger changes, the applicant is proposing a new curb cut from Stearns Road, which you can see here. Because of this, the city had required a traffic study to be completed, and the plans have incorporated the recommendations of the traffic engineer. So we went through several iterations, not just looking at the Dunkin' Donuts building itself, but also the potential traffic impact of the future development in the center of the site and what that could, what kind of demand that could create, what kind of trip generation that would create. So the right-of-way will be modified as shown at the applicant's expense to provide for a left lane turn into the site, southbound on Stearns leading up to the curb cut. There's also a right turn in lane shown here pulling into the site so that that inbound traffic will get out of the the lane of travel for the rest of the traffic. The addition of that right turn lane causes a sidewalk, and I'll zoom in on that section. It causes that sidewalk. You can see the kind of dashed line is the right of way, and so the sidewalk will be inside the private property, and so the city will require an easement to accept that. Also, that curb cut that you then see here on Stearns will allow for traffic to enter from both directions, but vehicles exiting will only be able to turn right. This slide also shows the main location where new stormwater will be managed. So this will be a below ground improvement. So primarily an underground storage system, and then all new utilities serving the site will have to be run underground. The lighting plan is code compliant. That includes the illumination, the fixture type, pole bases, heights, locations, all within code. The applicant received several variances for signage, but they're all consistent with upcoming changes that will be proposed to City Council to our sign code. We recognize that additional signage is often needed for drive-through facilities like this one. So I know the Planning and Design Commission had a number of requirements that were incorporated in their motion, and I would ask that those be included in any motion for approval by the committee. I know tonight we have on the line the architect for the project, Brian Fabo, Timothy Stasiak. We also have the property owner representative, Daniel Rini, and I believe we also have the Dunkin' Donuts franchisee owner. Refer to my list of folks that are here with us tonight. I think I saw him. Ken Blum. So any one of these representatives can answer questions that council might have of this project. I'm also happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry, I'm not as quick on this. Unmuting myself here. Can you show us how, since traffic can only turn right onto Stearns, where the other, I guess, customers may exit the property? I'm assuming it's between the two arrows, between the landscape and the future building. So
yes, they can exit Stearns, but then there will be cross access between the properties. And so there's still 2 curb cuts along Lorraine Road where traffic can exit. So there'll be 3 total curb cuts to this parcel once fully developed.
thank you. I think it's a great plan. I'm just concerned with the number of mature trees that are coming out. How much of that tree canopy is going to go away based on this development project?
Well, I think we have the tree survey in this set of plans that I can look at. Of course, you know, anything within outside of the required setbacks could potentially be developed. But again, I think this landscape plan shows anything that's in like the bright green is landscaping that's added, and anything that's in the kind of black and white shows existing to remain. So in this case, I think and those are just like the significant over a certain diameter tree that would be caught with a tree survey. So while much of this area is forested and will need to be removed, that they have done a good job of trying to keep the natural and blend it with the new, as good as we've seen with any commercial project. So let me see if I could find the tree survey here. Here it is. So that shows just how many trees are really in the center of the site that really could not be avoided in terms of commercial development. But again, just when you look around the perimeter, there's a large number that will be highly visible from Stearns, and then also a significant number that serve as a buffer, even though this isn't residentially used. It's for a school, that it would protect if there's any future development in that area down the road. And also, there were some existing trees along this property line that are going to be removed at the request of the neighboring property owner, just because they've outlived their natural lifespan. So some of those will be coming down at the request of the neighbor.
Thank you, Director. I have one last question. Is this going to be a 24-hour facility?
I think I'll have the owner or franchisee answer that question.
Could you please state your name?
Sure. My name is Ken Bloom.
Thank you.
And I'm even slower at unmuting my phone. So we anticipate our hours to be 5 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Okay. And just to be clear, this is not part of the other Dunkin' that is down Lorraine, correct?
Correct. We're a different franchisee owner. We're related to the ownership that's in down the road in the other direction in North Ridgeville.
Okay. Thank you. I'm assuming Director Lieber addressed everything. Is there any additional information or comments that you'd like to make on behalf of this project?
Me? No, we're just excited to join the community, and I really appreciate working with the city. It's a pretty comprehensive plan, and there was a lot of give and take, and we really, I can, from my own standpoint, really appreciate the good dialogue that we had to get to this point.
Thank you. We're happy to have you. Are there any questions? Pardon me?
Yes, Madam Chair. Yeah, I have a question, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thanks.
Go
so
ahead.
2 comments. One is, so I understood the briefing right in the plans here. There's no additional exit then that's already currently there to Lorraine Road. It's only to Crocker Stearns that we're adding traffic exits, correct?
Correct.
And thank you for that. That makes me very happy, especially the location. The other question I had, and I think you sort of answered, you're taking out some additional trees abutting the forest property. Where exactly within the neighboring property does this back up against? Is this into the open field area, or is this directly abutting the school?
I may have an exhibit that zooms out a little bit. Here, this aerial that's coming up, you can see it's quite a distance away.
Oh, it's not even, okay, so it's not even into the playground area, really? Okay.
No.
Thank you.
Are there
That
any
answered my
additional?
question, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions from committee members? Comments? I'll open the floor to council. I apologize for the delay. I'm scrolling through to see if any hands are up. Okay. Then seeing no additional questions or comments, I will make a motion to approve CMS 191305. Sorry, pardon me? Okay, I apologize. I thought someone was trying to speak. I will make a motion to recommend approval of CMS 19-13405 Dunkin' Donuts at 5581 Stearns Road, subject to the conditions of the Planning and Design Commission, and ask for a second.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Limpert. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. And that motion passes with a vote of 3-0. The next item on the agenda is Nissan CMS-2016191, located at 28596 Lorraine Road. Director Weaver, would you take over, please?
Yes, thank you. I'm trying to share my screen so you can see the new project. Nissan is proposing to add additional parking and also to improve their stormwater management on site. So the plan in front of you shows the impacted area to the rear of the property. I'll move to a site plan. This is a close-up of that area showing the parking area and the fencing. And I'll just then park us into the landscape plan here and zoom in. Pardon my scrolling, still learning how to do this.
Madam Chair, sorry to interrupt. While Director Lieber's doing zooming in on that, Councilman Broussard wanted me to let you know he lost his connection. He's trying to get back in, so he'll hopefully be back on the call in a minute.
And one way for council to see the project larger is to hide everyone, and the screen might get a little bit bigger if you're having a hard time seeing the plan. This property is zone B3 general business. Again, the applicant's proposing to expand their parking lot for inventory storage, to consolidate storage here on site, and also to install a new stormwater management system in the rear of the property. So some of council members may find this project familiar because it was previously approved by City Council in 2010, but at the time it did not proceed. The applicant decided to proceed with an expansion up on Lorraine Road where they had purchased the corner property in lieu of this project. So their approvals expired back in 2010. And so they're back here before us under our updated zoning code for approval. So the majority of the vegetation in this expansion area will need to be removed for the parking lot. However, new landscape plantings will fill the buffer zone area between a new fence and the property line. So in this case, you can see the residential property line is dashed. The fence is here with the kind of dot and dash, and the buffer plantings fill the area in between. There's a new board-on-board wood fence proposed. Often we'll see commercial fences at 6 or 8 feet. In this case, they're proposing to match the Mercedes fence next door, which is 10 feet high. So it'll provide a significant barrier for the residential neighbor next door. It runs about 17 feet off the rear property line and then turns the corner here along the west property line and will connect into the existing Nissan fence.
No problem.
There'll be access around the side of the property for maintenance. And no new lighting is proposed in this area, so there will not be any new lights or glare on residential property.
Excuse me.
However, they have several conditions of approval, including that the applicant meet with the neighbor who there were some trees to be preserved in this buffer, and the neighbor had requested them to be removed. And so the final, a few tweaks to the landscape plan are subject to a meeting between the applicant and the neighbor before the project begins to make sure that the locations and spacing of the plantings are to their benefit. So I'd recommend council include the conditions of approval by the Planning and Design Commission, which would include that recommendation. And thank you, Madam Chair. We have Brian Fabo with the applicant and Dan, and I can never say his last name. I think it's like Bariski. He can tell you I am terrible at his last name. I apologize for that.
Are you there?
Thank you, Director.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just, go ahead, please.
No, all I was going to add, I made some notes, and I think Kim touched on every single thing I was going to touch on. I think she did a great job. So there's not really much to add other than we are not proposing lighting, and this proposes 60 spaces for inventory parking only, and it will it's due to the demand of vehicles and the desire for Nissan and North Olmsted to want to stay in the city, and it also reduces the amount of trips that they're going to take down the road for to swap out cars on lots that they're currently renting. So it really is an important project for them, and that's pretty much all I wanted to add, unless Brian had anything that he wanted to add to the discussion.
No, I think you guys covered everything pretty well.
Thank you. I just have a question. I know since this is going to be abutting the residential property, I know we've had an issue with a number of the dealerships locating cars by sounding off alarms. Have we already addressed this issue with the applicant, Director?
I think that's part of every conversation we have with dealers. So we'll often talk with engineers and architects, but I think, and council may have had different feedback, but I've not had that kind of concern lodged from Nissan that we've had with some of our other dealerships in the city. So I think that that they have been sensitive to that concern and appreciate that with our community.
Yeah, I haven't had that kind of feedback from any of the residents, but again, I just find it helpful just to reiterate our stance in that whole thing. So thank you. Are there any questions from committee members?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I do.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Limpert.
Thanks. So just, and I had some audio issues here in case you saw my video screen moving around. What's the planned timeline for this to move forward? Have you agreed on that yet, or?
I'll have the applicant answer, but I believe it's as soon as possible that they can get permits and move forward.
Yes, that's correct. What we're doing right now is we're moving to final construction plans, and we'll be submitting to the city engineer, in about a week from now. And once we get approval, we will schedule our pre-construction meeting, meet with the neighbor, and get moving as fast as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from committee? Council? Chuck?
Sorry, Madam Chair, Councilman Broussard can't get back in, so he asked if I could just mention for him that he's worked with a bordering resident for the Nissan plan and that they are satisfied with the accommodations that were made.
Thank you so much. Okay, seeing no additional questions, I will make a motion to recommend approval of CMS 20-16191 Nissan located at 28596 Lorraine Road, subject to the conditions of the Planning and Design Commission, and ask for a second.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Schuman. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, and that motion passes with a vote of 3-0, and our meeting is concluded at 7:24 p.m. Thank you, everyone.